The galaxy was vast, diverse, and unforgiving. Thousands of species vied for survival under the shadow of powerful empires that dictated the terms of existence. Among the dominant races were the Zarathians, the Sindral Combine, and the Obelax Hegemony, each ruthless in their pursuit of power. On the other end of the spectrum were species like the Quillas, fragile creatures with no weapons technology or alliances to protect them. To the greater galaxy, the Quillas were irrelevant, pests consuming resources that could better serve the strong. For Captain Alara Voss of the human research ship Pathfinder, irrelevance was not an excuse for cruelty. Humanity had always teetered on the edge of galactic politics, a species too young and weak to stand tall among the Titans. Her mission in the Quillas sector was scientific observation, mapping ecosystems, studying cultures, and cataloging lifeforms. But what she witnessed that day was far from scientific. The transmission from the Zarathians arrived abruptly, slicing through the ship's serene hum. Attention, Pathfinder. You are advised to vacate the Quillas sector immediately. The eradication protocol begins within the hour. Ilara's heart sank as the words registered. Her crew exchanged uneasy glances, but she maintained her composure. Define eradication protocol, she demanded. Extermination of all Quillas colonies in the system. The Zarathian officer replied without a trace of remorse. They are a drain on resources and offer no value to the galactic order. Interference will be considered an act of aggression. Ilara muted the channel and turned to her first officer, Commander Raj Mehta. Options? Raj shook his head grimly. We can't fight them, Captain. Their fleet would turn us to ash before we could blink. The debate was short-lived. Ilara knew they couldn't intervene militarily, but the decision to stay and document what was about to happen was hers alone. We're not leaving, she declared. Minutes later, the sky above the Quillas colony darkened. Zarathian warships blotted out the light, their energy cannons igniting the surface. The defenseless creatures, a mix of fragile, translucent bodies with luminous eyes, scattered in vain. The screams reached the Pathfinder's bridge, raw and haunting through the audio feed. Some crew members turned away, unable to watch. Others clenched their fists, muttering curses under their breath. Ilara stood frozen, her knuckles white as she gripped the console. It was over in less than an hour. The colony, once a vibrant hub of life, was reduced to smoking ruins. Yet, as the Zarathian fleet departed, one Quillas remained, hovering in the wreckage, a faint glow emanating from its body. The crew stared in stunned silence as the creature transmitted a message directly to the Pathfinder. You who witnessed this, it began, its voice echoing like wind through hollow reeds. The defenseless, do not forget. Harming us today ensures your species' reckoning tomorrow. Beware the tide of justice. Then, as if drained of life, the Quillas collapsed into the ashes of its homeworld. Raj broke the silence. Was that a threat? Ilara didn't answer immediately. She felt the weight of the warning settle in her chest like a leaden stone. The galaxy had always been a brutal place, but this was different. Something about the Quillas' words gnawed at her, a premonition of something far greater than they could yet comprehend. Log everything, she said finally, her voice steady but tinged with unease. We'll need this for the Council. As the Pathfinder began its journey out of the system, Ilara cast one last look at the ruins below. For the first time in her career, she felt the fragile line between observer and participant begin to blur. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the tide began to stir. The galaxy trembled in the weeks following the Quillas massacre. At first, the Zarathian Empire celebrated their efficiency in eliminating a so-called nuisance. But their triumph was short-lived. The first signs of trouble appeared on the Zarathian colony world, Crasser Prime. Entire settlements vanished overnight, leaving only vast, glass-like craters in their wake. Surveillance footage captured fleeting images of shadowy constructs descending from the sky, swift, silent, and utterly devastating. Attempts to retaliate ended in failure. The attackers seemed impervious to the Zyrathian arsenal. Captain Alara Voss learned of these events through intercepted communications. She sat in the Pathfinder's dimly lit briefing room, her senior officers gathered around her. The unease from the massacre still lingered, now mingled with curiosity and dread. Crasser Prime isn't the only one, Raj said, scrolling through a holographic display of galactic hotspots. The Syndral Combine and the Obelax Hegemony are reporting similar incidents. Entire fleets disappearing, energy anomalies disrupting star systems. And us? Asked Dr. Lena Kor, the ship's xenobiologist. Alara shook her head. So far, humanity hasn't been targeted. But it feels like only a matter of time. What about the message from the Quillas? Raj interjected. The defenseless, do not forget. This has to be connected. Alara leaned back, her mind racing. The Quillas had been wiped out, yet their warning echoed across the galaxy. If these attacks were their doing, how could a defenseless species orchestrate such destruction? The answer came sooner than expected. The Pathfinder was charting the edge of the Zyrathian sector when an energy surge rocked the ship. Alarms blared, and the crew scrambled to their stations. On the main display, a fleet of alien drones materialized, sleek and angular, with an eerie blue glow emanating from their cores. They're not Zyrathian, Raj reported, his voice tight. Unknown configuration. They're scanning us. Shields up, Alara ordered. Open a channel. Before her words could be relayed, the ship's systems froze. A holographic projection flickered into existence on the bridge, a figure resembling Aquila's elder, its translucent form shimmering with light. Justice rises, the figure intoned, its voice resonant and otherworldly. For those who harm the defenseless, there is no refuge. Alara stood. We're not your enemy. We didn't harm the Quillas. The figure turned its luminous eyes toward her. You watched. You did nothing. Your species is young, but not beyond judgment. The hologram vanished as quickly as it appeared. The alien drones lingered, their weapons visibly charging. Alara's crew braced for impact, but before a single shot was fired, the drones dispersed, vanishing into subspace. Raj exhaled sharply. What the hell was that? It's not just retribution, Lena said, her voice shaky. It's a test. They're targeting the coalition for their actions, but they're watching us too, deciding if we're complicit or capable of something better. Alara nodded, the weight of the moment settling on her. They've spared us for now, but that doesn't mean we're safe. We need answers, fast. The Pathfinder redirected course to a remote research archive where remnants of Quilla's technology were rumored to exist. As they traveled, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy itself was holding its breath, waiting to see who would rise and who would fall. Alara stared out the viewport into the endless void. The tide was no longer just stirring. It was rising, and humanity was caught in its swell. The tension aboard the Pathfinder was palpable as it approached the remote research archive. The galaxy had descended into chaos, with powerful empires falling one by one under the assault of the mysterious Quilla's force. Humanity had yet to be targeted, but Captain Alara Voss knew their time was running out. We're approaching the archive, Commander Raj Mehta reported. No signs of activity or defenses. Alara nodded. Let's hope we find answers before it's too late. Bring us in. The station was ancient, its hull scarred by time and meteor impacts. Inside, the air was cold and thin, and the lights flickered faintly as the crew navigated its halls. In the central chamber, they discovered a device, a crystalline structure pulsating with faint energy. Dr. Lena Kor examined it carefully. It's Quilla's technology, but it's far more advanced than anything we've seen before. Can you access it? Alara asked. Lena nodded, her fingers flying over a portable interface. Moments later, the crystal emitted a projection, a massive star map overlaid with glowing markers. At its center was an image of Aquila's elder, similar to the one they had seen on the bridge. "Greetings, humanity," the projection began, its tone calm yet commanding. "You are at a crossroads. The defenseless rose not because of weakness, but by choice. Our legacy was one of peace, but our extinction activated a contingency, justice against those who harm without cause. Your actions will decide your fate." The map shifted, highlighting points of conflict. It showed coalition worlds engulfed in fire, their fleets obliterated by Aquila's drones. But it also displayed pockets of resistance, species trying to protect others from the chaos. Raj frowned. "They're showing us who's fighting back, and who isn't. The question is," Lena said softly, "where do we stand?" Alara turned to her crew, her expression resolute. "We're not Zarathians. We're not the Syndrol or the Obelax. Humanity has a choice here, to act or to stand by. If we do nothing, we risk being judged like the rest. But if we intervene—" Raj interrupted. "We'll paint a target on our backs. The coalition still has remnants of its fleets, and they won't take kindly to us opposing them." The room fell silent as the crew absorbed the weight of their captain's words. Finally, Alara made her decision. "We can't ignore this," she said. "Set course for the nearest conflict zone. If there are defenseless species caught in this, we're going to protect them." The Pathfinder arrived at a desolate star system where coalition forces were attacking a convoy of refugee ships. The alien vessels were barely operational, their shields flickering as they tried to escape. "Open a channel to the coalition fleet," Alara ordered. "This is Captain Alara Voss of the Pathfinder. Cease your attack and withdraw immediately." The response was swift and hostile. "Human vessel, stand down. This is coalition territory, and these vermin are enemies of progress." Alara's jaw tightened. Progress built on the slaughter of the helpless isn't progress, it's tyranny. "Stand down, or we will engage." The coalition ships hesitated but opened fire. The Pathfinder returned fire, using its advanced maneuverability and human ingenuity to protect the convoy. Though outgunned, they managed to drive the coalition ships away. As the last enemy vessel retreated, the refugee ships sent a message of gratitude. Among the voices was one Alara recognized, a soft, ethereal tone like the Aquila's elder. "You have chosen wisely," it said. "The tide of justice spares those who defend the defenseless. Humanity has a chance to rise, but the path ahead will not be easy." Alara exhaled, relief and determination mingling in her chest. The galaxy was watching, and humanity had taken its first step toward proving its worth. "Set course for the next conflict zone," she said. "We've got a lot more work to do." As the Pathfinder disappeared into the stars, the crew knew they were no longer observers. They were part of the tide, fighting to ensure humanity's place not just in the galaxy, but on the right side of history.